So let's get more on all this now and speak to James Boyes, who's Professor of International Politics at Richmond International University, also a fellow at King's College. And so let me start by getting your thoughts on Obama's speech in Berlin today, almost 50 years to the day since President Kennedy spoke to 1 million Berliners. What were your thoughts on what President Obama had to say?
Well, it was interesting. In 1988, Vice President Dan Quayle was famously put down and told, "You're no Jack Kennedy," for trying to posture as JFK reincarnate. And I think we can see the same thing about Barack Obama today. It's a dangerous path to cross, to try to emulate John F. Kennedy, traveling to Berlin like this, 50 years to the day. Anything he says is going to be judged in comparison, and I think you have to say it came up very short.
Well, President Obama also used his speech to call for a reduction in American and Russian nuclear weapons. Why might he want to put this back on his security agenda now?
It's interesting. It seems whenever he comes to mainland Europe, he talks about trying to reduce nuclear weapons. But I would suggest to you that if he was serious about doing so, he would give a dedicated speech about this on that topic at an appropriate location. Instead of which he's come to Berlin, which is, you know, very renowned for being anti-nuclear. And he mentions it in a whole smorgasbord of ideas and concepts that he would like to do. One wonders why these haven't been achieved in the last 5 years, whilst he has, after all, been President of the United States.
But to be fair, I mean, his biggest problem has been the state of the domestic economy. You had the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression, and the US is still struggling with low growth and high unemployment. Yes, they're doing better than much of the developed world, but it is a fragile recovery at best.
Yeah.
That has been his top priority, and quite rightly so.
It is, but don't forget, an American president isn't just a domestic president, he's an international president, and they have to walk and chew gum at the same time. It's not unexpected that they deal with domestic and international affairs, and when one is attempting to get domestic support for international relations, it's very surprising that he didn't mention Ronald Reagan, who of course famously gave a speech there in the mid-1980s in which he ordered the pulling down of the Berlin Wall, which was as important in ending the Cold War, arguably, as John F. Kennedy's speech in 1963.
Well, we heard Moscow effectively putting a dampener on President Obama's proposals. They've said that it can't be taken seriously while the US is developing its missile defense system. With these differences between the two leaders, is it likely that a nuclear arms reduction process can be revived?
It's important to note it's not just differences between Obama and Putin that's going to be the problem, but also differences in the American Senate. To get any treaty through, Barack Obama would need to get 60 votes in the United States Senate. He's not going to get that if he's not going to go overseas and offer bipartisan support for American politics.
Well, thanks very much, Professor James Boyes of King's College. Thank you.